Evangelization, the naturally supernatural process. And I want to talk about 7 parts of that. The first one is that you are qualified to evangelize because you have gone through and are going through an evangelization process yourself. And that's the context of your witness. With all humility, as Father Bob Bedard used to say, my faith, doesn't make me better than anyone, but it's made me better than I was. But part of, the qualification, the credential is you've reflected on your own spiritual experience, and you've learned some things, and maybe you've reflected on the experience of others. And so that's given you some insight that you can potentially share in a relational context. And the biggest part, the biggest qualification you have when evangelizing in the context of a relationship is the relationship itself. There's a relevancy and a credibility that comes. And that's part of what you bring to the table in this relational model. Number 2, context. Is a relationship. That's where you're evangelizing. And in a mature relationship, you're loving people in a disinterested fashion. In other words, you're really thinking about what's best for them. What motivates you to evangelize is their well-being. And so just like any other important issue, being disinterested, in other words, really just loving them as the end of all things, is an important piece. Number 3, motivation. Your motivation for evangelization is someone's well-being, right? You're just like you're concerned about their physical well-being and their emotional well-being, you're also concerned for their spiritual well-being. Not that you yourself have arrived, especially when you're evangelizing family. Family will be quick to remind you, hey, we know the kind of person you were, right? But also, if you're loving in a disinterested fashion, they're gonna sense that you're not just trying to conquer, you're not just an evangelistic conquest, but you're doing this out of love for them. Number 4, priority. When you're looking, at caring for people, obviously you're looking at what is the most important thing and what could be more important than someone's faith life. So in a relational context, you're thinking, okay, I need to be making this a top priority. If they had other health issues or whatever, you'd be quick to help them. What about their spiritual life because of the long-term horizon that someone's spiritual life has? Number 5, style. By style, we mean when it comes to sharing about faith, obviously we need to sort of apply that same wisdom that we apply with anything that's of a sensitive nature. We need to be empathetic. We need wisdom, right? Just like, you're bringing up other issues. So wisdom is needed, but wisdom is also provided by the power of the Holy Spirit. Number 6, delivery. At some point, the gospel message needs to be articulated. Even if you've shared your testimony, which can model this divine dynamic, this Lord's dynamic of how someone comes into a personal relationship, at some point, the gospel needs to be enunciated so the person, the hearer, can understand it, know what it means to respond to it, and maybe, as we'll see in the next step, facilitate it there. So we do need to think about how we deliver things, of course, being sensitive and all that. But what's different about the gospel is that the message itself has a power that's different from maybe sharing other good things like health advice or whatever, but the gospel itself has an intrinsic power. Number 7, invitation. At some point, you even need to invite the person to make a step at least. That's what happened with me. Father Bob Bedard invited us to take a step. And God honors that step. God will start to work in a person's life. when they make an initial step. So invite people to take the step. And Father Bob used to quote various scriptures, draw close to God and I'll draw close to you, from James 5. If you seek me with all your heart, it will allow you to find me, from Jeremiah 29, or Revelation 3:20. I stand at the door and knock, and anyone who comes in. So sometimes even quoting those scriptures, because scriptures, of course, have that power. Evangelization, a naturally supernatural process.